All right. All right. Welcome back to the Grow Like a Mother podcast. I'm your host, Jill. Today I'm here with Erica, and Erica is the Director of Development at Lil Iguana's Children's Safety Foundation, where she leads initiatives to create and develop educational resources and programs for kids, parents, and educators. Just to give you a bit of background about the Lil Iguanas, they're a nonprofit and they're celebrating their 30th anniversary of empowering kids to be safe and happy and healthy through music-based programs and resources. So I'm just so thrilled to have you here today, Erica. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited to be on the podcast.
Yeah, well, tell me about, I've never heard of an organization like this, and I'm really eager to share it with the listeners. Can you tell us, the intro gave us a really basic overview. Can you give us
Yeah,
some more like soul about what it is that you guys do day to
absolutely.
day?
Yeah. So we're, like you said, educating and empowering kids ages 2 through 10 plus to be safe, happy, healthy, and kind through music based programming and resources that we have developed for classroom and school use, as well as home and homeschooling use. So we teach over 20 safety and well-being lessons that range from social emotional learning, being safe online, stranger danger, buckle up your seatbelt, wear your bike helmet, how to be a good friend, and everything in between. So we have, like I said, over 20 safety and well-being lessons. And our real mission is to prevent, a little bit of some scary things, I would say, like prevent child abuse, prevent abduction and human trafficking. And we're trying to prevent serious accidental injuries, all while instilling self-worth and respect and excitement for who a child is and how they can be their best selves. So we're going to present it in a extremely fun and interactive way. It's all music-based learning and music-based programming. We incorporate play learning, interactive role playing. So a child is never going to be afraid or intimidated by any of our lessons or programming because they don't even really realize that they're learning, which is the best way and the most effective way. That's how kids are going to be able to remember these lessons and use these tools when they actually need them. It's just going to be second nature for them.
Yeah, I love that. And my kids, the younger ones are 4 and 6, so they're prime age for like learning this stuff right now. And it's funny because I'm teaching some of it at home. They're learning some of it at school, but I feel like there's a few pieces that are missing that I just don't know how to teach, right? Like that online safety thing
Yeah.
is really intriguing to me. But I can say at least my kid, and maybe you can speak to whether most kids feel like this, like they want to learn it. Like my kids the other day came up to me and they're like, Mom, because I tell them to stop at the when we're biking, stop at the road, right? And they're like, stop, look, and listen. And I'm like,
Yeah.
right, I didn't teach you that, but like, cool. I'm
That's
glad that you're
awesome.
excited.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
great. And so our programs, like when they started back in 1994, I mean, it was a completely different educational landscape than it is now. So we traditionally went into preschools and elementary schools and Head Start programs, and our educators taught these lessons as part of like an enrichment program for kids in their school. So we were addressing these issues like directly to children. And then we had some take home materials that parents could use to like reinforce these lessons, but we were teaching right to the kids so that a parent didn't have to be like, oh my gosh, I have no idea where to start. Where do I even begin teaching stranger danger or online safety? Something that didn't exist when we were like very young, like we didn't have that lesson. Um, so yeah, so we traditionally went into elementary schools and into in-person programming or at community events. And as the foundation evolved and our lessons evolved, we realized that there's a lot of homeschooling and non-traditional school environments, learning environments. We also have, um, you know, digital resources now that didn't exist even 10 years ago. We have digital courses that parents can take on how they're going to be teaching these lessons to kids, and different workbooks and stuff like that. So those things didn't exist back in 1994. We went in with like a boom box and put it on a table and like had a costume character, our mascot Lil Iguana, and our educators that went in and like sang and danced with the kids and had little skits and talked about, what happens if someone that tries to get you to go with them, or you're crossing the street. How are you going to be crossing the street? You're going out on a bike ride. Are you wearing your helmet? Those kinds of things. And it's evolved to now online safety, social emotional learning, which, wasn't talked about 10, 15 years ago. And it's something that's so important to teach kids so that they can recognize their emotions and trust their gut and share those feelings. That's the most important thing, because we can experience these things, but we really need to share them in order to get the help that sometimes kids need.
Yeah, okay. I want to dive into that because I'm just thinking back to like, so my 6-year-old is autistic, so I don't get much feedback from him at all. But I know a lot about like regulating his emotions and teaching him that just through that neurodiverse lens. But my daughter, she's 4, and she came home one day and she was being bullied, but didn't really know how to like talk about it because she felt kind of weird about it. And I just wonder, like, how can I, as a parent, seeing something's up with my kid, help them to really just like trust the feelings that they're having, and encourage them, like, what language are we using to tell them, like, when you're in that situation, trust yourself, right? Like if something doesn't feel right, say no. Or like, you walk me through a bit of that, what you teach them
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. So I think that parents, can feel like it's so hard because they don't know where to start. And when you're faced with all these lessons, like, how am I supposed to teach kindness and happiness and safety and health and wealth and everything with my child? Like, where do I even start? And it might feel like there's a mountain in front of you that you have to climb and you're not really sure where to begin. So at Little Iguana, we just make it super easy for parents. We have educational music, we have conversation starters. How are you going to start this conversation with your kid? It might be kind of overwhelming for parents, or it could be to sit down and say, where am I even going to start? So we give those starting points and hopefully the journey and then the ending points for parents. So the best, I think, resource for you to talk to your children is to just start talking, start those conversation. It's better to start and maybe have a couple missteps along the way than to not have any conversations at all. So something simple like on the car ride home, you can start, you can start talking about, like, how was your day today? How are you feeling? Why? What happened? Why are you feeling that way? So you can start the conversations that eventually so you can talk about and develop the language with your children so that they can express their big feelings, and then they have the language to verbalize those emotions like sadness, anxiousness. That's very different. Anger, oh, I'm actually very nervous. So there's different emotions and different feelings that a kid might not be able to verbalize. So it's how to vocalize those emotions. And that is how you're going to be able to, with like some kind of routine. So every day, like, how are you feeling? Why are you feeling that way? And it gives them the language that they need in order to express those emotions. And then once they've found that language, they're going to be able to make it a part of their routine. They're going to be able to practice expressing those emotions, so that if something ever happens, like on the school bus or the walk home or something, like there's an incident, they're going to be able to say, this is what happened and that made me feel this way, because they have those routines in place and they've been practicing expressing those feelings and emotions. And at Lil Iguana, we call it our harm alarm. And that is that funny feeling that you get inside that something's not right, trusting your gut. So your inner alarm clock goes off and you know that you need to tell an adult right away. So whenever you get that feeling, you need to tell an adult right away. You're never going to be keeping a secret from your parents. You're only going to be keeping surprises. That's the basis of our trust your gut, trust your feelings. And another tool that we have for parents to use is we actually have a feelings calendar, and it's just like a month calendar and has little boxes. And at the bottom, there's over 25 emotions with different faces of how you're feeling, and then the emotion listed there. And each day, you can sit with your child or put it on the refrigerator or wherever and just say, how are you feeling today? Let's talk about the emotion of the day. And then as a parent, you can actually use that as a tool to check out patterns in feelings and emotions. And that is another great conversation starter for parents as well. So every Tuesday, you notice your child is anxious or sad or mad or happy. What do we do on Tuesdays that would elicit that emotion every Tuesday? So it's really great for parents to have some kind of place to start when they're talking to their children about emotions.
That feels really helpful, and I would really benefit for something like that, especially. And I wonder if this is something you come across or deal with parents or kids who are in multi-parent homes. So, for example, like my kids are with me for a week, and then they're at their dad's house for a week, and we're co-parents and we are in communication, but I don't really know what happens when they're there. So I wonder if something like this calendar shared between co-parents or different tools, is that something that you come across or teach on at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going back to that routine and just making sure that you know, like each day, how your child is feeling. And then maybe just having a conversation when they come back into your house. You don't have to go day by day, minute by minute, but just general feelings like, oh, how did that make you feel? And it's really about the practice of, I'm not just sad, happy, or mad. Like, I'm this emotion, I'm that emotion. And then you're able to work as a parent to say, why are you feeling that way and how can we help you?
Yeah, I love that. And it's so interesting that you're right. We weren't taught as kids. Like I'm thinking back, to the 80s and early 90s when I was growing up, it was just sad, mad, happy. Like there weren't a plethora of emotions that our kids are taught now. And I think that's so valuable. Even like using the colors to describe. I hear about that, like different
Yeah,
colors for different emotions. And
yeah,
so it's wonderful that they have these types of tools to better express. So they don't have to learn in their 30s like I'm learning how to like
exactly.
sit with the
And like
uncomfortable ones.
bullet journals are now like a huge thing. And it's so funny because our feelings calendar again was developed in 1994, which seems like archaic now that there's like bullet journals and we now have more modern like 4 or 5 emotion bullet journals for kids each month as well. But our feelings calendar has like 25 emotions on it. That's the one that we really love to use because then kids are able to see so many other different feelings that they can have.
Right. Okay. I want to dive into like the individual, like, or the offering, the suite of offers and products and services that you guys have. But I first just have a question, mostly just like, am I doing this right? Because one thing that you said earlier brought up, so if your harm alarm goes off, tell an adult. And I've been trying to find a way to like tell my kids that most grown-ups are safe but not all, right? So I've kind of come to the language of like a safe grown up won't ask you for something like you're asking them, right?
Mhm.
Is that, am I on the right track here or am I messing it up?
No, I totally hear you. And it's so hard when we hear a lot of like tricky adults or safe adults or, and I think that goes back to any conversation is a good conversation to have. So there's not like a right or wrong answer for this, but at Lil Iguana, we try to make it as simple for a child to understand as possible. So that's not like, is this person safe? Is this a tricky, like we hear tricky behavior a lot and it's like, oh well, it's someone that but now they're doing something weird and it's like, well, is that weird? I don't know. Is that making my heart alarm go off? I don't know. So I think it's really important to just like we talk about who is a stranger. So a stranger is anyone that you don't have permission to go with or do something with right then and there. So it could be Mr. Jones next door that you see every day. You wave hi to Mr. Jones with your mom when you're coming home from school, and today, Mr. Jones says, hey, do you want to come inside my house and watch a movie with me? Oh my gosh, what should I do? You just have to get permission first. You just have to let your mom or dad or who is ever in charge of you, the adult in charge of you, know where you're going and who you're going with. So, permission for us is 3 simple steps: looking your mom or dad or who's ever in charge of you right in the eyeballs. Eyeballs is a funny word, so kids are going to remember it. Asking, and you're going to ask, can I go with or can I do this with this person? And you're going to set a plan on, I'm going to be returning at this time or I'm going this place or whatever. And then it's getting a yes. And that is eyeballs, ask, yes. And if you don't have those 3 things, then you don't have permission to go or you
Mm.
don't have permission to do the thing. And that's it. You can't do it. And we make sure that you're looking the adult right in the eyeballs, and we do this during our in school programming a lot because we're pretending like we're mom, we're talking on the phone, or we're like texting or doing whatever moms do because moms are extremely busy, and you need to make sure that you have their attention by looking them right in the eyeballs to make sure that they hear what you're saying and they're communicating with you and they're giving you a yes or no based off of what you're saying. So it's really important, just like, do I have permission to go? Do I have permission to do the thing? Yes, great, I can go. No, I can't go. It's just, it is what it is. So, and then stranger again, it's could be someone you know, it could be someone you don't know, it could be someone you're allowed to talk to, it could be someone that's good or bad. It doesn't matter who they are. If you don't have permission, you can't talk to them, you can't go with them at that time, and you have to get permission each time.
Mm.
And then if you're ever, in a situation and you feel that weird feeling in your belly, that gut, your intuition, and that what we're talking about with parents and those feelings, those weird feelings that you get, you need to tell the adult in charge right away. Like, this is what's happening. This is what's making me feel weird. So that it's not 15 years later in therapy saying, that time that I was wherever doing whatever I was doing that made me feel weird. We need to address that right then and there in that situation so that, the adult in charge can get help.
I feel like this is going to be such a valuable episode for people to listen to or watch on YouTube with their kid. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I've got a couple of friends in mind who I know listen to the podcast and sometimes their kids do too. And like this would be the episode because there's so much valuable information just from this, short amount of time we have together that I've already gotten. And I'm so curious to know, like, as the end user, if I want to work with and through and learn from the organization, like what does that look like? You mentioned that there's like the calendar is and music, like is it songs I can download and play, or like as the end user,
So
what do I
we
get?
are meeting our user where they are. So
Yeah.
if they are on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, I can't think of any other, YouTube, we have all of our educational music and videos on YouTube that you can stream right now for free as a free resource. We have over 1,000 worksheets and digital downloads available for parents on over 20 safety and well-being lessons. We have a digital membership as well called Safety Up, and that's either a monthly or annual membership that parents can join to get a ready to use action plan each month that's sent to their email. Access to that online resource library with thousands of digital downloads if they would like to supplement in the middle of the month or at any other time, they can. And then we also have a support group so that parents and educators can get the support they need to talk about these lessons. Like, where do I start? What am I doing? I don't know. Was this okay? Should I have done that? I don't know. So it's a Facebook group as well. So you're going to get the digital membership. That's one of our options. We have educational music and educational videos on YouTube that you can just kind of put your child in front of. I know that's sad, but it's okay.
That's
And they
life.
can learn on their own. Um,
Yeah.
and then we also have courses that parents and educators and just grown-ups in general can take in order to teach these lessons to kids, also recognize signs of, some of the more stranger and harm alarm based lessons for child abuse prevention. So we have a lot of resources. I'm not sure if I covered everything. We have also like a literacy program that we introduced a few years ago. So we have read along storybooks that a parent can scan the QR code, and then there's page by page narration
Mm.
so that you can see the pronunciation of words and how they're used in a sentence. And all of those stories are safety and well-being based. So we have a couple storybooks. We have positive affirmation cards. We have a lot of educational physical products, digital products, courses, music, memberships, everything in between. We're trying to give you whatever you need where you need it.
I love this idea of the affirmation cards because I'm a big affirmation like sayer for my own self and it works
Mhm.
really well for me. And I have like little angel cards and little tarot cards and stuff like that for my kids, and they're into it. And so I feel like this affirmations card would be a really helpful tool that's like fun. And the same thing with like the
Yeah,
YouTube videos, like it's fun. They don't know they're learning, but it gives them such a strong foundation, right? I love that.
absolutely. And with our positive affirmation cards, those are for sale on our website. But we also have our SEL specialist who chooses one card per week, and we have our Empower Kids video series that's on YouTube. So each week she chooses a card from the deck, and she goes through her lesson with kids so that they can, understand what that affirmation means and how to put that intention into practice in their life.
Maybe silly question. What does SEL stand for?
social emotional learning.
Okay, cool.
That is huge where we are. So, I mean, at this point, some educators that we talk to roll their eyes when we say SEL because it's such like a buzzword or like social emotional learning. At this point, it's like it's gone from we don't do anything to like now it's too much. So it depends who you talk to, but that is a big way to help kids understand and be a good friend and have respect for themselves and kindness for others and just how to address their emotions, regulate their emotions, talk about their feelings.
That's amazing work that you're doing. Like I just feel like so transformational for the kids and
Absolutely.
the adults that they'll grow up to be. What a gift for them to have this early on. So I'm so appreciative of your time and that you came on to tell us all about it. And I know that, like, of course, I'll link the all of the places in the show notes and the shop where we can go and like buy some of these physical and digital things to support us as well. But is there any particular place? Is Instagram a good place for people to go to like connect with you and get a conversation started?
Yeah, absolutely. Instagram's great. Social media, all of our social media handles are Lil Iguana Safety, LIL Iguana Safety. YouTube is a great place to also connect with us because you're going to get all of those videos and educational music. We also have a story time podcast that we released probably a few months ago at this point, and it's just fun stories with our characters, Lil Iguana and his diverse friends. They go on different adventures and they, you know, are met with some challenges or bumps along the way, and it's about how they handle those challenges, who they talk to, and how they navigate their world of problem solving and daily exploration.
Mhm.
um, so that would be another great place, and that's streaming on like Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, all streaming platforms. So
Okay. Would that be appropriate for like my 4 to 6 age group and maybe my
absolutely.
10-year-old as well, or is he sort
10
of
we're saying that it's great for the entire family, so we're hoping that parents enjoy the podcast stories as well and they're not too boring. So I think your 10-year-old might be right
on the cusp?
right
Yeah.
there at that point. Our programming is like kids are too cool for school
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah.
So especially when it comes to like our mascot Lil Iguana, like 10-year-olds are like our cutoff when we go into in-school programming because it's like, all right, I can't learn from a costume character and performers that are singing and dancing because I'm too distracted by obviously this is a person in a costume. So
And if someone's interested in like bringing you into the school, is that something that they can reach out to you as well as a parent to get
absolutely.
advice on how they can present it to their school board or school or whatever?
Absolutely. So, right on our website, we have a tab that says programs. You can see all of our programs, whether they're virtual or in person. And right there, it says request a program, and you can
Okay,
go through the
cool. Where are you located?
We're based in New Hampshire in the United States, but we have programs along the East Coast in person. And then we also do programs sporadically throughout the US. And we actually do a couple programs in the Bahamas occasionally. We have a group down there that we go and do programs in schools. I have never been fortunate enough to go to the Bahamas, but I also hear that it's not as glamorous as a vacation because you're going actually into schools and teaching. So, it's okay. But
I like that though. That's fantastic. So, so many resources, so many ways to learn and work with you and help our kids. Thank you so much. This is
absolutely.
incredible.
Thank you so much for having us. We love to be able to share our mission because we have so many resources. We just want to help parents.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're listening, please, please, please go and check it out because this is the time to start and we don't know how to do it ourselves. So let's get some help.
Absolutely.